afternoon, Paranerds. I hope your day is going absolutely wonderful, and I welcome you back to the 31 Days of Halloween, my series on 31 of my favorite horror films. And today we have one of the best zombie movies I've ever had the privilege to bring you, because today we are talking about.
In 1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its time.
Not that room! Not that room!
Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill. This situation must be controlled before it's too late. They are multiplying too rapidly.
Dawn of the Dead.
Meet me on the roof at 9 o'clock. Get out.
I don't believe
We're
it.
gonna
What?
get out in the chopper. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong.
Shoot it, man.
Now, accept the fact that there's no escaping the horrible consequences. George Romero brings back the dead. Night of the Living Dead has ended. Dawn of the Dead is here.
We must not be lulled by the concept that these are our family members or our friends. They are not. They will not respond to such emotions.
Operator dead. Post abandoned. We may never get out alive. It's everywhere. What the hell is it?
Looks like a shopping center, one of those big indoor malls.
What are they doing? Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
What is it?
We've got a war.
I'm afraid.
We have spawned our own savagery. Soon it will consume us all. It is a horrible, hauntingly accurate vision of the mindless excesses of a society gone mad.
They must be destroyed on sight.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
We are down to the line, folks. We are down to the line.
Dawn of the Dead.
The original Dawn of the Dead. Following the events of Night of the Living Dead, we follow the exploits of 4 survivors of the ever-expanding zombie apocalypse. Shortly after a horrific and a huge failure, the SWAT evacuation of an apartment complex, we are stuck with a couple and 2 SWAT team members who decide to take refuge in an abandoned mall. While at the mall, when they first arrive at the mall, I should say, they take stock of their surroundings. They arm themselves, lock down the mall, and destroy the rest of the zombies that are inside, so they hope to survive until help can come. As months go by, tensions really start to build. The couple is fighting constantly. The 2 best friends, SWAT team members, are fighting. And now, not only do they have to deal with flesh-eating zombies, but a gang of vicious bikers have decided to make the mall their home for themselves. But now, not only do they have to fight off these flesh-eating zombies, they have to fight off this lethal gang of vicious bikers. Let's talk about this movie, because one of the best zombie films that we've had the pleasure of watching. George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. He does such a great job with everything he directs. And I love Night of the Living Dead, but Dawn of the Dead is so much better for me. we'll get into why later, but let's talk a little bit about this movie. Tom Savini chose the gray color for the zombie skin since Night of the Living Dead was in black and white, and the zombie skin tone wasn't really depicted. He later felt it was a mistake because he says many of them ended up looking quite blue on film. And I think it's kind of I don't mind it, because if you think about it, they have no oxygen. They would end up blue. I think it's a cool concept. I really enjoyed the practical effects. Tom Savini did such a fantastic job with this movie. He did so much on this movie. We'll get into that a little bit. This is a fun little tidbit. The two zombie children who attack Peter in the airport are played by Donna Savini and Mike Savini, the real-life niece and nephew of Tom Savini. And they are the only zombies in all of Romero's Dead films that spontaneously run and never do the trademark zombie shuffle. So, if you recall, throughout all of his Dead series, besides these two zombies, everyone else just walks and shuffles. But these two run. Running zombies are no fun. And it's so cool that Tom got his niece and nephew in the movie and played zombies. I'd love to play a zombie in something. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Some of the zombie actors, there was a working photo booth on the second floor, and they decided to take pictures of themselves with all the makeup on and, you know, chunks missing and all that. And then they replaced the goofy the sample pictures on the outside with their ghoulish ones. So that, for people that came in the next day, that had to be really an interesting sight to see. The Motion Picture Association had threatened to impose the X rating if George A. Romero didn't make cuts. He didn't want to cut the film, and he was adamant against the X rating due to its stigma of hardcore pornography. In the end, he was able to persuade the distributors to release the film with no rating. Although on all advertising and trailers, there was a disclaimer that in the fact that while there was no explicit sex in the film, it was of such a violent nature that no one under 17 would be permitted. Rated R, no one under 17 permitted. You know, and it's funny to think back of all the violence and all that, which isn't really too bad in this movie. And then you see what we get nowadays that's PG-13 and rated R. It's like, man, 70s and 80s, filmmakers had a really hard time getting movies made. With such a shoestring budget, the film couldn't afford any professional stunt people outside of drivers. So, makeup effects Tom Savini and his assistant and friend Tasso and I'm going to butcher this name, Tasso and Stavrici, volunteered for the task. They are not only responsible for almost every stunt in the film, though not all went perfectly as planned. Tom Savini did a bunch of the stunts himself for this movie. Fucking love Tom Savini, man. When filming a dive over the rail of the mall, Savini almost missed the pile of cardboard boxes with his legs and back landing on the ground. He then had to work from a golf cart for several days. The shot where Stavrici swung down from a banner was poorly planned, and he wound up continuing on and slamming into the ceiling. Ouch. That had hurt. So missing a fall and putting your back legs. Wow. But they're professionals, man. They continued on. It was intentionally more comedic in Night of the Living Dead because Romero wanted to film in a style of a comic book. He wanted to bring a comic book to life, and he did a great job portraying that. Because, yeah, there is a lot more comedy in this film. It really looks like the Dead came out of the comic book, and just the some of the kills and some of the zombie deaths in this, they truly do. They are very comic book style. And I love that he really wanted to kind of to lighten the tone a little bit. Night of the Living Dead was very, there was some very serious and very, there's some racial stuff behind, black man as a leading character, white man fighting him, all that kind of stuff. It had some very racial tones to it. Not that it was a racist movie, it was showing like some prejudice and stuff we still had in the 60s. And he kind of wanted to shy away from that. And I love the fact that he still made the star of this movie a black man, Ken Foree, who I love. Ken Foree. He's one of my favorite actors. He's a fucking badass in this movie. We'll talk a little bit more about Ken in this a little bit, but just one final little tidbit, and then we'll talk about why I love this and why I love Ken Foree. Romero stated the feeling with Dawn of the Dead was unrestricted. You're not trying to top your last film. He says you're trying to go over the top. You're trying to do what you can to really make it a gas. Savini agrees topping themselves wasn't the intention, but it naturally happened because of how much fun they put into this film. And you can tell there's a lot of fun in this film. There's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of, especially when they first get there and they're driving around in a golf cart and they're shooting zombies and just having a good old time. And you can see it. It's a fun movie. It has some serious undertones to it, but it's a fun movie. I personally cannot rave about this movie enough. Like I said, Ken Foree is a fucking badass in this film. He's a badass in general, but he's one of the best parts about this movie. And he makes this movie. He really does. And he has that line. He plays the character Peter so well, and you cannot forget that line. What line? Well, this line.
You're still here.
They're after us. They know we're still in here.
They're after the place. They don't know why. They just remember. Remember that they want to be in here.
What the hell are they?
They're us, that's all. There's no more room in hell.
What?
It's something my granddaddy used to tell us. You know Macumba? Voodoo. Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. He used to tell us, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Right? One of the best lines in movie history. And he even came back for the 2004 remake to repeat it. Just a cameo. And it's cool that he did that. But to repeat that line, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. And that's one thing they never explained about this series of films is what created the zombies. From amazing directing from Romero to a great cast, amazing practical effects, and a lot of fun during this movie, this is a must-watch for zombie lovers. When I was younger, I hated zombie films. I thought they were stupid. This is one of the movies that made me appreciate zombie movies. I had such a blast with this one. I couldn't... No, there's no more that could be said about this because it is one of the funnest zombie movies out there. And I know Shaun of the Dead and all that's funny, but this one, it's to go from Night of the Living Dead, which had serious undertones and was creepy and fantastic films, to create this movie that was just a blast. To show that George A. Romero, he's a very accomplished director. He's made some of the best films out there, this included. I give this one 5 rotting corpses out of 5, and I highly, highly recommend it. One of my prized pieces in my collection. I have the Dawn of the Dead Ultimate Collection on DVD, and it has 4 different versions of this film. 4 different versions. loaded with special features. It's one of my absolute prized piece of collections, and I believe they've upgraded it to Blu-ray. I just can't afford it right now. But you can bet your butt when I can, and as long as it's still available, I'll be grabbing it. But right now, that DVD, I'm looking at it. I can see it right now on my shelf. One of the best, and I love it so much. Thank you so much for watching this. I truly appreciate it. I know I kind of flubbed my way, and you may be wondering, like, why am I including all my flubs and mistakes and all that? That's because, number one, I want to, but number two, like, I want to show you a genuine review, like a genuine just me being me. I make mistakes all the time. At work, I can't speak to save my life. And life in general, my brain is constantly going at 1,000,000 miles an hour that I just forget what I'm saying. Even though I have a script, I'll completely forget. Like, I'll be reading, in the middle of reading the script, my brain just, brain fart. Anyways, that's why I do it. That's why I include everything, just because I don't want you to not to all of a sudden just get a bunch of cuts of me cutting out stupid things. I want this to be a genuine, real reaction video, or review video. I mean, reaction videos are coming as soon as I get a new computer and all that. We discussed that in the last video, but anyways. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. We truly live in a weird world. Zombies might be coming. It is 2020. You absolutely never know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.